Hey everyone, welcome back to Llamas Creations DIY. My name is Tammy. In today's video, I'm giving you 23 Blast from the Past Christmas decor for Christmas in July. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and let's start crafting. So I have these wood square dowels. I get them in packs at Dollarama for $2, and they come in with small, medium, and large. And what I'm going to use are the large ones. First, we're going to take 4 of the large square dowels, and we're going to place them looking into like a box, and then using wood glue and my hot glue, we're just going to glue all the pieces together, just like so. Putting on the second piece, and I buy my wood glue at just a local hardware store. Once that is dry, I'm going to take my staple gun and I'm going to staple together the 4 corners just to give it a little extra support. And I make 2 of these squares, doing the same exact way. Excuse me. Now we're going to take 4 more of these dowels and we're going to glue them with the wood glue and the hot glue going up on this square piece. As you can see what I'm doing here. We're going to put one on each of the 4 corners. And then taking the other square that we made, we're going to glue that to the other side. So then we're going to be creating a box. Again, just using my wood glue and my hot glue. I do the first 2 at the bottom, and then I do the 2 at the top. And again, I also use my stapler and staple all those into place as well. And that's what it looks like so far. Now, taking a ribbon of your choice, or you can use any kind of fabric that's a little bit of see-through or whatnot, I'm going to glue a piece, start the end at one side, then glue along the edge, and then flip, glue, glue along the edge, flip, glue, and continue that until I go around the entire box. Once I get to where I started, I cut it off, glue it down, and then I start again. So everywhere we've glued and started there, that will be either the bottom of our box or the back of our box. And I do this to the entire box. And this is what it looks like so far. So I've done 5 sides and we've left the bottom part open. Now I'm taking some battery operated lights. And I picked these up at Walmart. They were $1.98, so I figured there was a good price. Always make sure your lights work before you do this next step. So now we're going to string them on the inside of the box. And just using my staple gun, I'm going to staple without hitting the cord, because you don't want to do that. I'm going to staple the lights just randomly here and there inside of the box. Just going all the way around. No rhyme or reason, I just would pull the lights, figure that's a good spot, and staple it down. And making sure the battery pack is on the outside of the box. And now it's to cover up that hole. So again, I just take a strip of the ribbon and I just glue up that hole. Just going from one side glue to the other side glue, cut, glue, etc. until it's all done. And that's what it looks like. Now taking this really pretty ribbon, I can't remember where I got it. I'm going to fold it over, I think it was 4 or 5 times. Find the middle, put a little slit in the middle, take off some more of the ribbon, dovetail, find the middle of that, and then taking a gold pipe cleaner, we're going to gather it in the middle and then fluff out the bows. Now taking this same ribbon, I'm going to, in the middle of this box, wrap a piece all the way around. And this is the ribbon this is what I'm going to use to attach my bow to. Taking the ribbon or the bow and the silver pipe cleaner that I attached it with, I'm going to use that, wrap it around that ribbon that we just put on, a couple thousand times to secure it into place. Snip off the extra. Fluff the bow again. Taking some greenery pieces, I'm going to decide where I want it in a nice little pine cone, and then we're going to glue it into place with our glue gun. Just adding some glue to the bottom of the greenery and placing it into place. And along, same with the pine cone. Taking these gigantic jumbo craft sticks, they come in a pack of 18 for $1.25 at Dollarama. And I'm just going to cut off all the little round pieces on the bundle that I have you see sitting there on my table. I just start cutting them all off because I don't need the round pieces on what we're doing. Now, taking 4 long pieces, I'm going to lay them out. And then taking another long piece, we're going to cut it in half, and we need 4 of those. And then measuring to make sure that they're all the same size. Trimming them as we go. Now taking another 2 long pieces of the craft sticks, we are going to glue 2 of the long pieces to one side, and then we're going to glue the other side of those long pieces to the other side, just like that, and we're going to make 2 of those. Now taking the smaller pieces that we cut, we're going to glue those horizontally on the edge, going across. And then taking the other side that we made, we're going to glue those little pieces to that side as well. And do the same thing on the other side. Now taking our scissors, we're going to trim off the long pieces because we don't need those. And then taking some more of those sticks, we are going to do the bottom. Just trimming them down and cutting them down to the size we need. And then we have our crate. I couldn't find any crates at my Dollarama, so I thought, well, we can make some. And I make a total of 3 crates, and then I make, by halving the craft sticks, I make a smaller one that'll go on top, and you'll see that shortly. I believe I used 2.5 of these jumbo craft sticks. And this is what they look like. Those are the 2 crates. The third one's on the bottom, and then I made a smaller one to go on top. I'm just showing you there. I put some more popsicle sticks so that I can attach it. Now I'm going to paint 1 crate red, but the pieces that hold all the boards together is going to be white. And then I'm going to paint another crate green. And then the third one is going to be green and red, and also white. And this is where I'm showing you that I'm painting the pieces that hold all the sticks together. I'm going to paint all those white, including the little box that we put on top. That will be white as well. Now I've got this tumbling tower blocks. I've got 6 of these. I picked this up at Dollarama. Everything you see here is from Dollarama. And then I have these wood clips. I'm going to use the little tree that's out of it. And I have these wood Christmas cutouts. There's 80 in this pack. I'm going to use the sleigh and a little reindeer. And then we also have 2 smaller craft sticks. Not the small size one, not the big size one, kind of like in the middle. First, we're going to paint the craft sticks white. Then we're going to, just the edges of these tumbling tower blocks, we're going to paint them black. I only end up using 4. I don't know why I picked out 6. This little tree, we're just going to take off the little kit and leave it like that. The sleigh, we're going to paint the rails part black and the sleigh part red. And then I add a little white to it to look like snow. The reindeer, we're going to paint brown, his nose red, and his antlers black. All my paint either comes from Walmart or Dollarama. Now it's time to assemble. Putting the sleigh on one side, Putting the reindeer on another side. Christmas tree is going to go on the back. And I've got this pretty little embellishment that I got from Totally Dazzled. It's going to go on the front. Now taking the tumbling tower blocks, we're going to glue 2 together, and then we're going to glue them to the bottoms of the train set to attach all together. Writing out Merry Christmas on the popsicle sticks, and I draw in some poinsettia leaves and berries. And then I go over it with my black paint marker, the fine one. These paint markers I got from Amazon. And then I do the leaves in green and the berries in red. Now we're going to glue those down at the bottom of the front of the train on either side. Just with some hot glue. Then I found this bow in my stash, already pre-made with a little bell on it. We're going to glue that right to the back of the train. Taking some Mod Podge, I'm just going to I'm going to put some Mod Podge on the craft, and then taking some, I think it's silver and white sparkles. We're just going to sprinkle them all along the Mod Podge just to give it a little more of a sparkle. Because Santa's train needs to sparkle. It's magical. I do this to all sides and on top. And there's my train. One side. You can fill this, put coals in the crates. You can put flowers in the crates. You can put a little Santa in there. I think this is super versatile and I love it. I hope you guys like it too. So first we're starting off with some clay pots. I have a big one, 2 of this size, and 1 of this small one. I'm going to paint them all with this baking soda house paint mixture, just to give them all a good base coat. Then we're going to paint them all green, just with this green acrylic paint. We're going to paint all around. You don't need to paint the inside, and this little one we're going to paint the top. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to start assembling. Taking one of the medium-sized ones, we're going to use some of Eileen's tacky glue and my hot glue. We're going to put the Eileen's tacky glue in spots around the edge of this medium one, and then hot glue in areas where there's no of the tacky glue. And then we're going to stick it on top of the biggest pot, securing it into place like that. Now, if you notice that other one, it's the same size and it doesn't look properly. So I have this little piece of round cardboard tube. It comes from foil wrap. We're going to put some Eileen's tacky glue and some hot glue and stick it to the top. And then again, some more of the mixture of the glue. And we'll stick that second medium pot on top. This will give it a little bit of a barrier in between to lift it up. And then again, for the small one, we're going to do the exact same thing and put it on top of that other one to look like this. Then I found this red pine cone. It's kind of looks like snow on it. We're going to glue that on top of the small pot to look like this. Now, taking some of this rope ribbon, we're going to just wrap it around the tree, gluing it here and there in spots. And you just wrap it however way you like. If you don't like this kind of rope ribbon, then don't use this rope ribbon. Use whatever you want. Then I have these poinsettias. They come on little clips. We're going to take the clips off and then just glue them all around the tree in whatever spot you want. Now I'm just going to let you watch as I decorate this tree with different items out of my stash. at the end, you will see the reveal of all the projects all in one. Now, taking some white acrylic snow, we're going to go along the project and make it look some like snow, not white acrylic snow, paint. Next project. I found these pieces at a garage sale. They already come with all these holes in them. So at first what I did is I sanded them all down. And now to give you the measurements. This one, I've got 2 at 12 inch. Then we have 2 at 7 inch. 2 at 6 inch. 2 at 9 inch. 2 at 10 inch. 2 at 8 inch. 2 at 11 inch. 1 at 5 inches. And the last one is 4 inches. And they're all 3/4 by 3/4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint them all with this burnt umber all the way around. Now, while waiting for those to dry, I went through my scrapbooking stash and found all these different colors of green Christmas paper and red Christmas paper. And we're going to get this ready. Taking my paper cutter, we're going to cut 3/4 inch pieces into all these papers. I do about 3 or 4 of each color. And this is how they all are. That's the green ones, and these are the red ones. Excuse me. Now, taking some Mod Podge, you're going to put a nice little layer on the piece of wood. Take your scrapbooking piece, lay it on top. I use a spatula to smooth it down, and then you put Mod Podge on top. And I do this all the way with the red ones, and then on the other side, I do all the green ones. The same process. That's the green side, and that's the red side. Now, taking a sander, we're going to sand off all the edges of the paper to get all that extra stuff off, all the way around and on both sides. And I do this for all these pieces. Boy, was my hand all cramped by the time I was done. I found a dowel and a star, drilled a hole in the star, glued it to the dowel, and I spray painted it brown and the star yellow. Now we're going to stick all of our little pieces of wood on the dowel, starting with the smallest, going all the way up to the biggest. Just like so. And see, you can turn them to whatever which way you want. Now, taking some embellishments, I pulled basically a whole bunch of embellishments out of my stash, and we're just going to decorate the tree, starting with the bells. And again, I'll just let you watch as the tree gets decorated. If you're a returning subscriber, I'd like to say welcome back, and thank you for always coming back to support me. I truly, truly, truly am grateful for everything. If you're new to my channel or coming from someone else's channel, I would like to say welcome. I really do hope that you stick around. I do all kinds of crafts, wood, paper, anything that my heart desires. Please subscribe, and don't forget to hit that like button, and that bell. These here come from Totally Dazzled, these little jewels. I just love those. They're so pretty. Now, I found this little metal container. It came from Dollarama. It was a candle holder. After cleaning it up, I'm going to take some of this floral foam and put it into the container. Then, taking the tree, we're going to stick the dowel right down in the center of this container, and the floral foam will hold it there. And this is what it looks like so far. Taking some of these greenery picks, I picked these up at Amazon. We're going to clip them apart, and then we're just going to glue them into the bottom, at the bottom of the tree and into that container, all the way around. Taking some white acrylic paint, we're going to put some snow on our project, And this one is done. On to the next one. I picked up these boards from Dollar Tree. What I did with one of them is I cut one. I have a piece that was 6-inch, then 5-inch, 4-inch, and 2.5-inch. And this all came from one piece. I sanded them all down really well. And then taking this paint mixture again, we're going to do a base coat with this, just so it can hide that blue. And then I paint them all green, which you'll see in the next frame. Taking a mixture of brown and black acrylic paint, we're just going to distress these boards, giving them a little more dimension and more like what a tree looks like. They usually have different colors. I have 4 tumbling tower blocks. We're going to use some of Eileen's tacky glue and some hot glue. And we're going to glue 2 together. And then we do the same to the other 2. And then taking those sets of 2, again with the same mixture of glue, we're going to glue them side by side, making 4 like this. And then I paint it with burnt umber acrylic paint. Excuse me. I also found this block in my stash and I painted that with the same color of paint as well. Now taking some wood glue, we're going to glue our pieces together. Starting with the big one, then the second one goes on top and onward up until you get to the small one. Holding it together and wiping off any extra glue that squishes out. Then taking the tumbling tower blocks that we glued together, we're going to glue that down to the bottom, giving it a trunk. Then I take my wood glue and hot glue again, and we're going to glue it into the middle of this wood piece, just like so. I went out into my yard and collected a few sticks, trimmed them down, and we're going to hot glue these all around the bottom to give the tree its trunk. A little bit more elements in there. And I just continue gluing all the way around with the hot glue. Now taking some Mod Podge, we're going to coat the tree with some Mod Podge, and taking some glitter, we're going to put the glitter on. Not only does this protect the paint on the tree, but it lets the glitter stick. And I do this to both sides. I use like a white iridescent one and a silver glitter. Looks like I put a lot, but some falls off. Now this here came from Totally Dazzled again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it out a bit. And then I'm going to cut just one little strip. And then we're going to glue and wrap it around the tree. Just like garland. Then I take some red beads and we're going to put this on the tree too. All the way up. Hot gluing as I go along. Sorry if you hear noises. My son's bunny is hopping around in his cage, knocking his food over. I picked these lights up at Dollar Tree, and after making sure they worked, we're going to wrap these around the tree as well, and I hot glue them in spots here and there just to hold it in place. And that's what it looks like so far. I picked up this ribbon at Dollar Tree. We're just going to make a simple little bow using a little hot glue to hold it together. And we're going to glue it onto the tree. And I do the exact same to the other side. And then I take a cute little gold bell and we glue it into the center. Now this here foam is like cushion foam. You use it for when you're putting fabric on a cushion underneath. I'm going to take some and cut it down. And we're going to glue it all along the top of this board, making it look like snow. All the way around. And I found I have 3 of these little tiny presents left. We're going to glue 3 onto one side. And then I take some holly berries and leaves and I glue those and insert those along the other side and around the edges. So in this first video, I picked up this little birdhouse at Dollarama. It was $1.25 or $1.50. After taking the sticker off, and I take the little hanger off as well, just pulling it off, we're going to give it a coat of cinnamon brown paint. I do the entire birdhouse and the roof, but not that little scalped edge around the front. I paint that white. Just taking my time and trying to make sure I get into all the little nooks and crannies, painting it all this brown color. I don't make you watch the entire thing of me painting, just a little bit, because I'm pretty sure you know painting it all over means painting it all over. And yes, I even do the base. And yes, this is how slow I paint. Gotta make sure to take your time. Now that it's all painted brown and I painted that white edge, or that scalped edge white, I am going to take my glue gun and we're going to just put glue all along the peak of this house and in just random spots, just kind of like scalping it, but not just letting it fall to where it wants to go. And I do this on both sides of the peak. And you'll see why we're doing this in a little bit. And I'm just taking my time, making sure not to squeeze out too much, but enough, and just allowing it to drip where it wants. Now I have these little gingerbread stickers. I've had them for a long time. I'm going to take the sticker off the back because it was pretty dried up. And then I'm going to hot glue one of the little gingerbread to the little point that sticks out for the birdhouse, or the birds to sit on in the birdhouse. I forget what that's called, but I'm going to stick one there. And then I stick another one down on the side of the house in the front, right on the corner there, the left-hand corner. Then I have these little candy canes that I found in my stash, and I'm going to glue some here and there on the front of the house, just to give it a little more extra decoration. I'm sorry about my arm in the way. These candy canes were super tiny. I found these little tiny bottle brush trees in my stash. I'm going to glue one on either side of the house, just on the corners there, and just using the hot glue. And you'll see on the peak of the house there how the glue is drying. That's what we want it to do. I glue both trees down to the corners, making sure it sticks, and then I take the third one and I glue it on an angle, sort of like it's coming out of the hole of the house. They're trying to get it into their house. That was my thought process there. Taking some little red balls that I have. It's a vase filler, I believe. They're little styrofoam balls. I'm going to glue one to each corner of the scalped edges. Just like that. Does anyone else get annoyed by the glue strings that come off? They always get everywhere. But I guess that's the part of having a glue gun. I found a cute little star And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it to the peak. Have a nice little star right in the middle. Right in the middle of the gingerbread house. Now, taking some white acrylic paint, we're going to paint the glue that has dried now on the peak, making it look like snow. That's why we did this. We're giving the peak of our house some snow look. It took a couple coats, but it's pretty easy to paint. Just take your time. Then I took my gold metallic marker that I got from Bedazzled, and I'm going to color the star in. Now, in hindsight, I should have done this before I glued it on, because it would have been a lot easier to color, because I also color the back of it as well. But we do things and then we think about it later. It all worked out good. Just had to make sure I didn't hit the house. Taking some white acrylic paint again, and I'm going to... No, that's Mod Podge. I'm sorry. Taking some Mod Podge, I'm going to coat the roof with some Mod Podge. And then I'm going to take some glitter. Some sparkly glitter. I can't remember what color I used. I think it's a gold and silver glitter with some clear and white in it. And I'm going to sprinkle it on top. I do this to both sides of the roof, and I also put some on the star, just to make it sparkle a little more. I just slowly tap it out. Use my finger to tap it down a bit, and then I'll dump off some, and then I try to push it in, but the way the house is, you can't push it down. But that's what it looks like. Super pretty. And then I do the star. And I do the exact same thing. Tap it down with my finger, shake off the rest. Now, taking some white acrylic paint, I'm going to go along the edges, making it look like kind of like snow, but icing at the same time for the gingerbread house. I find it looked really, really cool. And then along the base of the house, I'll go a little bit closer into the house to look like there's a snowbank up against the house. Because, you know, there's always snowbanks up against the houses. After it's been plowed, that snow kind of gathers there. It's the last usually bit to go away in the summer. Excuse me. I do this all around the house, on the back, on the sides. Everywhere that you can have a corner and you can see. Now I'm taking some spray adhesive. I finally picked some up, and I'm going to spray it on top of the glitter just to help it hold there a little better. I seen another crafter do this, and I thought, hey, that's a pretty good idea. Spray it down. Might hold all that glitter there and it won't fall off all over my house. And this is what it looks like set up on my tiered tray. Super cute. Nice little addition to my tiered tray. For this first craft, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this sock. It's gray and it's got a little bit of sparkle in it. And we're going to stick it into a jar and make sure to open up the inside. Then we're going to take some, I'm using these beans, mixed beans. You can use rice, you can use fluff from a pillow, anything that you want to use to stuff the sock. I ended up using this whole jar of beans. And I just keep filling it until I like the way it is. Then taking a piece of string, I'm going to tie it off. I'm going to take the top part of that sock and just fold it down over, just like so. Taking another sock that corresponds with it, but is white and gray, we're going to stick it over top, on top, and then we're going to cut the toe parts off of this sock. Then taking another piece of string, we're going to tie it off at the top, leaving just about an inch above. Cut off the little snip, little hangy thingies there, and then I just cut down the top a bit to make it a little more shaggy. Like a toque on top. Now, taking some leftover fur that I have, I'm going to cut it down to make it look like a beard. I'm just going to angle the two sides so it comes down into a point. And then you'll see a little bit later on, I cut off that point a little more because it was too pointy. Taking some hot glue, we're just going to glue that into place. And if you haven't noticed yet, we're going to make a little winter gnome. This is where I clip off that extra little point. Didn't look too much like a beard, and now it does. And glue it down into place. Taking some spackling and this big bead that I have, I'm going to fill the little hole and let that dry. Mind you, I didn't let it dry long enough, so you can still kind of see there's a divot hole there, but that's okay. I'm good with it. I take some white acrylic paint, paint the top part of this star, and then, excuse me, sorry, with the same brush, I take some silver paint and I just highlight the edges with it, just to give it a little more difference. I take some white acrylic paint with a tiny drop of pink and I paint his nose. I have this little extra piece of a burlap bag, so I drew out a mitt, folded it in half, and cut two. Now we're going to glue on his nose, right there above his beard, and then we're going to glue his hat down around his nose, and all the way around the back. Taking the star that we painted, we're going to glue it right there in the middle, right on top of his beard. Then, taking the two little mitts that we created, we're going to take another couple pieces of that sock that's his hat, and we're going to glue those on the top of the mitt so they match his hat. A little bit of a fuzzy embellishment. And then we glue him into place so it looks like he's holding on to that snowflake. So cute. I like making gnomes. They're too cute. I took that same burlap bag and the part that was all nice and finished, and I'm going to wrap it around the top so I can hide that string. And then it also goes along with his mitts, so his mitts and his hats match. Then I found some sticker snowflakes. I'm going to add a few, and with that, this project is done. I found this board in my stash. It was already colored this color, but I gave it a good sanding on the front and back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my baking soda and house paint mixture and just give it a rough coat. I'm not looking for any perfection, just giving it a nice little coat on top. Taking this fuzzy blankie, or bag I should say, I'm going to take out the string and then cut it down part way. Not fully open, but just a little bit. Then I take a cap to my spray glue and I'm going to draw on 5 circles, and then I use my tape for 5 big circles. And then I cut them all out. And there they all are. Now, using one of the small circles as a template, I'm going to take little pieces of fabric, glue down an edge for a seam, and then I'm going to cut it down and glue the corners down into like a triangle. And I do that 5 times. Taking the big ones, we're going to lay them out on the board. And then we're going to take the small ones and match them with the big ones. Every one is going to be a little bit shorter than the other. Now I use this spray glue, and don't do what I do. See how I'm holding it and spraying it? Don't do that. My hand was so sticky, like watch. Yeah, my fingers were so sticky and stuck together. It was unbelievable. So don't do that. So then I did it on the board, sprayed it down, flipped it over, and I did that for all the snowmen. Taking their little hats, we're going to glue them on top of their heads. For all 5. And then I add pom-poms to the top of their hats. Blue for the little ones and white ones for the two big ones. Taking the corresponding color of the socks and the fabric, we're going to give each of them a scarf. Just folding in the edges with some hot glue, and then we hot glue it into place. Just like so. Then I went out into my yard and found some little tiny sticks, cut them into pieces, and we're going to glue it onto their bodies for the snowman's arms. Every snowman gets a stick, or 2 sticks, I guess. You need 2 hands, arms. Then with my left hand, yes, with my left hand, I'm going to write in my words. I didn't want it to be super perfect and all nice and neat. I wanted it kind of wonky and snowman like the snowman wrote it. So I used my left hand and I wrote in the bros. And then using my paint marker, I trace over it. Not bad for my left hand. Taking these foam snowflakes, we're going to hot glue them all over the board. Just in places here and there. We got some blue ones and some white ones. And then we're going to flip it over and add a hanger. Taking some heavier duty wire, we're going to measure out how much we need. Clip it off. And then I use my heavy duty staple gun. I staple it down into place, both ends. And then I fold the wire up, staple it again, fold it down, staple it again. This way it won't slip out. And with that being done, this project is done. I love this one. It's the Bro Snowman family. Mom, Dad, and 3 boys. Up this wooden box at Dollarama. It was $2. It's got absolutely nothing in it, and it's absolutely plain. So what I do is I paint the entire thing with this black chalk paint by Folk Art, all the way around. And this is how it turned out. The inside I left plain. Next, what I do is I'm using some washi tape because I don't have any painter's tape this small. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a bunch of the tape down, use a piece of this washi tape as the width of my lines, and then run another piece down. And I do this exact same thing all the way down the box and all around the sides. Just like so. And this is what it turns out to be looking like. Ran out of the one washi tape, so I had to go to another one. Then what I do is all the black lines, I paint it red. All over. The bottom of this box, I just keep it black. This took about 2 coats. Just so all the black wouldn't show through. This is what it looks like. I thought I'd show you a couple pieces of me peeling off the tape just to see that crisp line. Some people like this, so I'll show a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is take some more washi tape and we're going to go in the opposite direction, the same way we did the other way that we put the tape down. Put a line of tape, put some in between, and then continue. All the way on the box and even on the sides as well. Now here what I'm doing is I'm taking some red acrylic paint and I'm mixing in some black because I wanted a darker red. Well, that's what it turned out. So I thought, let's add some more red. Yeah, that didn't turn out too good. And I thought, oh, add some white. It'll lighten that up, right? Yeah. So this is what I got. And I decided to paint the entire box. It's purple. You'll see in the next frame. I painted it over in red. I did not like the purple. So this is what it looked like. Now using this ribbon from Dollarama, I got it for $2. I'm going to take a piece and glue it to the edge there of the lid of the box. Pull it around, cut off what I need, and then I'm going to glue that piece down as well. And then I do the same thing going the lengthwise, but kind of off-centered. Just a little hot glue tacking it down. Now taking these branches that I picked up off of Amazon, I'm going to clip off 4 little pieces, and I'm going to hot glue them on top of the bow. Kind of like in a crisscross way, making an X. And then I have some of this pieces of greenery off of a garland, and I'm going to glue 2 little pieces right there in the middle. And then I glue 2 little ornament balls and a pine cone right on top of everything. And that's what it looks like so far. And then I was looking at it and I thought I should have did the ribbon on the bottom box too to make it look like an actual present. So this is what I did. I did the one piece and the second piece, and this is how it turned out. It's sitting on my coffee table in my living room, and it holds all of the remotes. Right now there's just one in there, but the other ones will end up in there too. You can use it as a trinket box or just a decoration under the tree, whatever you wish. I have these 3 pieces of, they're like an MDF board. They came from Dollarama. And these 2 long pieces of wood that came from Dollar Tree, I cut them down into different lengths. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paint them all over with this sheepskin chalk paint from Folk Art. Front, back, everywhere. It took 2 coats each. Now taking some red acrylic paint and half of a styrofoam ball, I'm going to dip it into the paint and I'm going to make dots all over the board, one of the boards, including the long rectangle piece. The second one, I'm taking some painter's tape and I'm going to do 2 diagonal lines in one corner and 2 in the other corner. And then I also do smaller diagonal lines on the 2 little rectangle pieces up above. And then I paint the lines red. This third one, I'm going to draw on some holly leaves and berries, just with the pencil, and then I paint them in with their corresponding colors. Leaves are green, berries are red. This is what it looked like. And here are all 3 all painted and done. Now what I'm going to do is I have to attach this rectangle piece on top of the square piece. So I'm going to use some wood glue and my nail gun. And this is how they turned out. I nailed them in from the behind. Now it's time to set them up. So this red one is going to go on the bottom with the stripes. And then the holly berry one is going to go on top. And then the third present is going to go on top, something like that. And again, I'm going to use the wood glue and my air nail gun. And this is how it turned out. That's how I finally decided to put it together. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to take some thicker wire, because it's a pretty heavy piece, and we're going to staple it on the back so I can have something to hang this with. So I put a staple in on both sides, and then I fold the wire up, staple it again, fold it, staple, until I have no more left to staple. And I do the exact same thing on the other side. And then for the fun of it, I add a bunch of glue on the back and let it dry so it doesn't scratch the wall. Now this ribbon came from Dollarama. It was $1.25. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece and run it along this bottom present, partially up the top part with some hot glue, squishing it down with my finger. And then I hot glue along the edges of this ribbon, pull it tight and straight, and smooth it down. And then again, I hot glue at the end. And then snip off the rest with my scissors. Just close as I can get to the board. Then using my craft knife, I'm going to score along the other board so that it looks like that ribbon is going up underneath that present. Just like so. Taking the same ribbon, we're going to make a bow. We're going to loop it once, and then we're just going to continue looping it until I have 3 loops on either side. And then I take another piece, an extra loop, loop it around and hold it in my fingers, cut it off, find the center of the 2, put little slits in each side, take a pipe cleaner, twist it around the center, twist and twist and twist, cut off the extra ends, and then taking that extra long piece, I'm going to fold it in half, cut it on an angle, and you've got your dovetailed ends. And then every good bow needs a good fluffing. And we just fluff, fluff, fluff those bows, fix the tails. And then we're going to hot glue it into the center of that top present. Bunch of hot glue, stick it on top. Fix it again, of course. Always fixing the bow. And then taking this little green ornament, we're going to glue that in the middle. And when that's done, this project is done. Picked up these 2 round tins from Dollarama. They were $2 a piece. And also these plates. I got one from Dollarama for $2 or $2.50, and this one came from Walmart for $1.97. I think I actually got it for $1. It was on sale. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside and spray paint them all black. And this is how they all turned out. Now when I was spray painting, it was actually hailing outside, so that's why you see a lot of speckles. So don't do it when it's hailing. Now taking these blocks, I think they're like dominoes for kids. What I'm going to do with them is I'm going to take 3 of them. Because there's a little lip on the bottom of these tins, I need to build it up a bit. So I'm going to take 3 of them, and I'm going to use my E6000, excuse me, and I'm going to use some hot glue, and we're going to glue them down onto the bottom of the tin. The hot glue is a short time hold, and the E6000 is a long-term hold. And then I add the E6000 and the hot glue on top of these little blocks, and I glue it down onto the plate in the middle. Just like so. And I do it for both of them. Now, taking some Christmas ribbon, I'm going to wrap it around the tin, just enough so it goes all the way around. And then we're going to hot glue it into place, just on both the ends. Starting at the seam of that tin, not Tim, hot gluing the one and then hot gluing the other one down, just like so. Taking the same ribbon, we're going to make a bow. I figure out how big of a bow I need, cut off a piece, hot glue the 2 ends together to make a circle. Then I measure out how long the tails I want. Cut off that. An accent came out with that one. I'm going to fold it into the center, finding my center, and then I fold my round one into the middle to find the center. Yes, I can speak words, I tell you. Taking my scissors, I put 2 little slits on either side. And then I take a pipe cleaner, go through those little slits, and tighten it at the back and twist it into place, securing the bow. Clip off the extra, fix the bow in my tails, fluff out the rings, dovetail the ends of my tails, and then we're going to glue it into place right onto the other ribbon, just like so. And again, fluffing and fiddle-farting around with it. Taking this cute little tiny ornament, we're going to glue that right into the middle of the bow. Then I found these holly berries, but I don't like the berries on that one. So I took the leaves of this one. I'm going to hot glue it down on top of the tin. And then I'm going to clip off berries off this other one and use those as the berries. And we're going to hot glue 3 into the middle of those leaves. Just like so. Now, taking some white acrylic paint, we're just going to dust some white acrylic paint over top of the leaves, and then I do it over top of the trees just to help them stand out. And here's how they both turned out. Cute little snowman hats that can be used for treats on the inside. So we're starting out here on the floor of my garage, I guess. I have all these pieces, this long one here, these ones here, and that one over there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chop saw and I'm going to cut that piece down there, and then I have to cut this one down just a little bit more. This one is going to be a smaller piece that I need, and then this one is going to be cut to about 2 feet long. Then I'm going to take my sander and I'm going to sand them all down, get them all smooth so they're not all pickly and give any splinters. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint all of them white, I think. I know for sure those ones are white and those ones are white. I might paint that one black or dark blue, but we'll see what goes on in my mind and if my mind changes. And then after I'm done all that, all these pieces here are going to be screwed and glued to this here right in the middle of that board, standing up. Wish me luck. So I did change my mind. Instead of using that thin piece, I'm going to use these pieces here. I picked them up at Dollarama and they're super hard board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 pieces and with my glue gun, I'm going to glue them together to make one piece, one rectangle piece. Then taking these square dowels, I'm going to glue one in the center where the 2 are glued together to give it a little extra more support. And then I glue 2 more, one on either side, because when I put it on the project, I need those to help it stand it up. Just using my glue gun and gluing one to each side. Excuse me. Next, what I do is taking my Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in black, I'm going to paint this entire board, front, back, and all the sides with this color. All I give it is one good coat and it has a wonderful coverage. Now that that's all done, I'm going to freehand some words. I first start out with there, and then is, snow, place, like, home. You can do this any way. You can do it how I usually do it with carbon paper and whatnot, or with your Cricut, but this is the way I decided to do it. And then taking some paint and some other markers and stuff, I'm going to paint and color them all in. Starting with this silver, I paint in there is and place like with the silver. And I just freehanded all this. I kind of wanted it to look almost like a snowman wrote it. And snowmen really don't have hands, they have sticks. And then I used my gold metallic marker from Bedazzled to write in home. And then using my chalk marker, I wrote in the word snow and also the 3 dots at the end of home. Then taking some white acrylic paint and a brush, I'm just going to dust along the sides of the board and on the top and bottom, just to make it look like it's got a dusting of snow on it. Then I took some Mod Podge and some of this fake glittery snow, put the Mod Podge in the corners and some on other spots on the board, and sprinkled this snow all over. After doing all this and having it dry, I realized that hot glue works better. Then I have these two stockings. I picked them up, I think at a garage sale or something. And what I'm going to do first is I have an extra piece of board here that is the same size as what I'm using. And I'm going to place it on and cut off how much I want. Then taking it off and turning it around, I put it back on because now the Christmas trees are the right way. And I see how far I need to go. Then taking my glue gun and turning the piece inside out, I'm going to make a hem all around the edge. This is going to be the brim of our hat. Just using my glue gun and folding up the ends just to give it a nice finished edge. Turning it back inside right. Fixing it. I then scrunch it right where that green part is using some jute twine, wrap it around tightly, tie it in a couple of knots with a little bit of hot glue in there, and then trim off the extra. Then taking some ribbon, I glue and wrap it around that jute twine. And I make 4 more of these. Another one in this color, and then I make 3 with the striped one. Same process. Now that my boards are all painted, I only gave them 1 coat. I'm going to take one of the hats that I made, put it on, and glue it into place. Again, just using my hot glue gun. Along the back and the sides, some of the hats I did the front and the sides, so on and so forth. And then taking my pencil, I'm going to draw on the snowman's face. His nose, his eyes, and his cute little mouth. I take various colors of paint and markers and Sharpies, and I color in his face. And I do this process for all the other pumpkins as well on the sticks, but with just different face looks, different designs, and you'll see all those at the end. Now that that's done, I picked up some Christmas fabric off of Amazon, and they're kind of whimsical. Not exactly what I was looking for, but still could be used. So taking this green one, I'm going to cut a strip down. I'm not, it's not too wide or anything. No, that's not what I wanted to say. I don't know how wide it is. It's about 1.5 inches. I didn't measure it. So now I'm going to start on the back, glue it down, and then wrap it around, cut it off, and glue another piece. Then taking the leftover, I fold it to find the center, and then I just wrap and glue those pieces down to make it look like his scarf. I just keep wrapping and gluing and playing around with the fabric until I like what it looks like. And then I go ahead and I dovetail the ends just to give it a nice little finished touch. Do that for all of them, and this is how they all turned out. I love it. I'm so happy I made it. I was thinking I could put little hooks on it and use it as stocking hangers. I'm using this piece of scrap white pine. It's glued together, and I drew out kind of like a wibbly circle pattern and 2 mitts, and I'm going to cut them out with my jigsaw. And here's how they turned out. Then I'm going to sand everything really well using my hand sander. After that's all done, we're going to give everything 1 coat of white paint. And as you can see, I'm going from the middle out, and that's so that on the edges I don't get any of those big drip marks for when it drips down. So that's why I did it this way. I do all the sides, and I do the mitts, but just the edges and the top of the mitts. We don't need to do the bottom. Now that the white is dry on the mitts, we're going to take some white acrylic paint and a little dab of black, Mix it all together to make a nice light gray, and we're going to coat the mitts with this gray on the front and on all the edges. Again, don't worry about the back because we won't see that. And I only give this one coat. Now, using this styrofoam ball, I believe it's a 4-inch, and these old pajama pants that don't fit any of my boys anymore, we're going to take one of the legs, and the bottom part of the leg, we're going to wrap it around the styrofoam ball. And then I measure out, I don't really know the measurement, it's about, I would say, 14 inches long. Cut it off. I take a piece of string and I tie it off about 1.5 inches down from the end. I just tie it off with a couple knots. Then, taking my scissors, I give it a shaggy end. Just snipping along the fabric just to give it a nice wispy end. Now, taking my hot glue, we're going to glue the hat down, or the pajama pant down, just here and there around the ball. And yes, it's going to be a hat. Taking my black Sharpie marker, we're going to draw on some eyes. And then taking some blue acrylic paint, I'm going to paint in the bottom part of the eyes because I wanted him to have some blue eyes. Just going slowly, taking my time. I take some black acrylic paint, give my snowman my snowman head some eyebrows. And then while I'm waiting for that to dry, I take a skewer stick and I paint the end of this skewer stick orange so we can have his nose. Taking the end of a paintbrush, I dab it into some white and I give him those little dots in the middle of his eyes. Now that the nose is dry, we're going to snip it off. And I wanted it to be kind of on an angle, so I push it into the styrofoam ball kind of on an angle. Add a little bit of hot glue and hold it there until it sets. And then I add a little more of hot glue on top. Taking my black paint marker, we're going to draw him on a crooked little smile. Cute little smile. Then I take some white acrylic paint and some pink. And I use this round sponge dabber brush. And we're going to give him some cute little rosy cheeks. He's outside. Gotta have rosy cheeks. Now, taking the other end of the pant leg, we're going to measure off, snip off a little piece, cut that piece in half, and then we're going to glue it onto the end of the mitts, giving it a little cuff. And I do that to both the mitts. Then I take my scissors and I trim around the edge to make sure it's all nice and clean. Now, taking the head of our snowman and the bottom part of the board, we're going to take some E6000, put it around the bottom, and then we're going to take a whole bunch of hot glue, put it in the middle, stick our head where we want it onto the platform, and hold it there until it sets. And this is what it looks like so far. Now, taking his mitts, you're going to place them down on the board, wherever you like, and again using E6000 on both mitts and some hot glue. We're going to glue his mitts down onto the board. Our poor snowman is melting. Oh no! Taking some more of that pajama pant, I'm going to take the leg, cut it down in half, and then on the other side I cut halfway up. And then I'm going to do a hem all along the edges to give it a nice clean edge. Now we're going to wrap that around the snowman's head, and then we're going to glue it as close as we can between the snowman head and the board so we don't see all that hot glue in there. And it cleans it up a bit and gives him a scarf. Then I turn it around, I trim off the back, just following the board, and I just tuck and glue until that's all nice in place. Looking something like that. I'm going to fray the ends of the scarf, which was actually the bottom of the pant legs. And then taking another piece of the pant leg part, we're going to take a piece and wrap it around the end of his hat to cover up that string. Now the fun part, taking some stuffing from a pillow or whatever you have, and just using my fingers, I'm going to spread it out and fluff it out. And then I'm going to use some hot glue, put it down onto the board, and place the fluff on top, making it look like snow. And I just continue doing this all the way around. Everywhere there's a board that you can see, I put some of this fluff down just to cover it up and help it to look like snow. And when you're all done that, this project is done. I made one of these guys, I would say 17 years ago. And I thought, why not try and make another one? This is a bigger version of what I had made, and of course a little different. But I'll show you, the end photo is the one that I made about 17, 18 years ago. He was made using toe socks. Does anyone know what toe socks are? Or have you ever worn them? I have, and I actually liked wearing them. Let me know down in the comments. And here's the one I made years ago. For my next craft, I picked up this during the fall. It's French, yes. And I got it for about $4. I got it at Dollarama as well. I like this tray. I like the shape of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape off the box of the tray all the way around with some painter's tape. I tried getting the bottom off, but no, that bottom was on there pretty darn good. I tried every way, could not get the bottom off. So here we are with the painter's tape. Then taking this sheepskin chalk paint by Folk Art, I give the bottom of this tray 2 good coats. It took 2 to cover up all of the orange and the sign underneath. After it was dry, take off that painter's tape, beautiful line. Then taking my Deco Art acrylic brown paint, I think it's called cinnamon brown, I'm going to paint the handle edges part of this tray. I'm going to do the inside, the top, and the outside. All the way around. I give this 2 coats as well. Just with an angled brush and going as slow as I can. I made this printable, this image on Canva. I'm going to tape it into the middle, and then taking my carbon paper, I'm going to slide it underneath, and I'm going to trace over the words with my pencil. Just going around all the words. I also trace out the holly berries and that cute little design going around it. Little squiggly, swirly design that goes all the way around. This is a super easy way to transfer your images if you don't have a Cricut. This is the way I do it, or you can turn the paper over and color it over with your pencil, and then flip it over and trace it over that way, and the image will trace onto your project that way as well. Now it's time for the reveal. Did it work? It worked. So awesome. Now taking my black paint marker, I'm going to do the smaller ones. Taking a red paint marker, I'm going to outline joy. Taking a green paint marker, I'm going to write in the words for Christmas. And then taking a black Sharpie, I'm going to write in my family and coloring it in. Now, taking my red acrylic paint again, I'm going to paint in the word for joy to help it stand out a bit. And then I take 2 different colors of acrylic paint in green, and I do the leaves on the holly berries. I did the red for the berries. Taking my gold metallic marker that I got from BB Crafts, I'm going to do the swirlies of the design. I do the dots in silver, and I do the little stars in yellow. Now, taking this gold ribbon, I make a little bow, glue it in the middle to hold it together, and I make 2 of these and I glue them to each side of the tray. And then I coat the whole thing in Mod Podge. And this is what it looks like. Mod Podge is still wet, so that's why you see it. I was impatient. Ha! Me impatient? No. I love it. It could be a tray for Santa's cookies and milk. It can be a tray to serve coffee and tea on, or hot cocoa. I love it. I'm so happy I made it. I have a piece of cardboard. It's a fairly thick piece of cardboard. I can't remember where I found it, but I figured it could be useful. What I'm going to do first is, using a ruler and my utility knife, I'm going to cut it in half because I don't need the full thing. I just score it a few times and it easily comes apart. Then, again, using my ruler and my knife, I'm going to cut off all the little extra ends, flappy ends there. See that scratch there? Pretty sure my cat got to it. Now that it's all cut off, I'm going to use my arms and my hands and rulers and anything I can, and I'm going to shape it into like an oval. Half an oval, I guess you could say. Into a rainbow. Let's put it that way. And then, just with some masking tape or some painter's tape, I tape it so that it stays in its shape. Now, taking this form, I'm going to trace it over top of some foam board, the long end and both ends. Just using a marker, I'm going to trace it onto the foam. Using a ruler to close off my ends, and then using a small, sharp craft knife, I'm going to slowly cut each piece out. If you take your time, you can usually do a pretty good job with cutting. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take our hot glue, put some glue along the edge of the foam board, and then we're going to put it on the side of the cardboard on one of the sides there and hold it until it sets. And then, taking my glue gun again, we're going to add some extra glue just to reinforce it. And then we do the other side. This one you could see a little bit better. Putting the glue on the edge of the foam board, and then taking the cardboard side, put it up against it so it lines up, and then add more glue for support. And that's what it looks like so far. Now it's time to take the end pieces. And if you notice, I cut it wrong, but that's okay, we'll fix it. Taking that same foam board that we cut it from, I cut off that little piece that it came from and glued it right back on. Then, taking that piece, we're going to line it up using the glue gun. Put glue all the way around on the cardboard and glue this into place. And then we glue down the bottom and reinforce it with some more hot glue. Now, taking the front, we're going to measure out. I believe I go down about 1 inch and then 2 inches. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just going to draw in a rectangle. And then again, using my craft knife, we're going to cut that out carefully. We don't want to overcut, we just want that little rectangle out. And pop, out it comes. Now it's time to glue that part on. We're just going to, with some hot glue, glue all the way around and make sure that it's nice and secure. And what it looks like so far. Now, I have had this fabric for I don't know how long. I've had it for about a year or so now, and I figured it's a good time to use it. So, taking that fabric and the bottom of our mailbox, we're going to line it up with the edge of the front of the mailbox, and we're just going to hot glue it down on the bottom there. And then every turn we do, we're going to line it up and hot glue. And we're gluing on the front side, that where my right hand is, that is the front of our mailbox. And we go all the way around doing that. When we get back down to the bottom, we will trim off the extra all the way down and then glue that edge down to the bottom. Now on the end, I decided that I was going to basically wrap it like a gift. And I just kept folding and making sure and folding until I liked it. And then I glued the two little end pieces down on the bottom and put a clip on the top because I wasn't ready to glue that part yet because I was missing fabric. So we'll do that part at the end when I have extra fabric. Now it's time to do the front. So taking some more fabric, I take the mailbox and I line it up as close as I can, but I want a little hangover on each side. And I just put a mark there and cut it square. Then taking my hot glue, I'm going to hem three of the sides. The long side that you're looking at, and then the right and the left side. My original plan was to paint it, but because I screwed up on measuring the end and the front, I decided to use fabric and cover it. Then again, taking my hot glue, we're going to glue the front cap on. And just going all the way around. And then you'll see why I didn't hem the top part, because it's round. You kind of have to go little by little. So after I glue down this part, I'll show you on the top there. I trim off any extra that I don't need. And then I just do it little by little because you have to follow that round part. So little by little helps out a lot better. And now, taking a little piece, I cut it off. And I go out of frame for this, but what I do is I just kind of stuff it in there and glue it into place. And that's what it looks like. And then I just glue the rest of the flaps down, making sure everything is nice and secure. This is what it looks like so far. But now we got to cut out the piece where the mail goes in. Using my craft knife, I just, from all four corners, cut on an angle towards the center. And then using my scissors, I cut it a little more. And then I cut straight across. Then taking my hot glue, I put a little hot glue on the flap and I push it on the inside and glue it in place. Now taking another piece of foam board, I'm going to draw out the flag that goes on a mailbox. Using my scissors to cut off the extra. And then using some red felt, I'm going to glue and wrap this little flag and cut and glue until it gets all nice and wrapped. I end up cutting it so that I can do the stick part and then the flag part separately. And then you'll see I put some ribbon there to hide the seam. I use this red ribbon with the snowflakes, and that's what I use to hide the seam between the two. And I have these little Santa embellishments there, or stickers I think. I take off the sticker part and I hot glue it right to the top of that flag. And then we hot glue the flag to our mailbox. Santa always has mail, so it's always going to be up. I picked these woodcraft slats up at Dollar Tree. What I'm going to do is paint it with my baking soda and house paint mixture. Then, using this ribbon that I also got at Dollar Tree, I'm going to cut off pieces that go around the edge. And then using my hot glue, I'm going to fold them in half and glue them together. And then I'm going to glue them all the way around the edge. Then, taking letters that I printed off of my printer, I'm going to use my carbon paper, put the word over top and trace over it with my pencil until it all is on my project. Then using my red paint marker, we're going to paint and draw over the letters to make them stand out a little more. Now we're going to hot glue it down to the side, and that part's done. I picked this ribbon up at Dollar Tree again. What I do is I cut off 3 different sizes strips, and then I glue the ends together. Then finding the middle of the first 2, I stick them together using a red pipe cleaner. I'm going to cinch it in the back, and I string it through that top one so that you don't see it, and we have a cute little bow. Then taking 2 more pieces, those are going to be our tail. Now we're going to hot glue the bow to the front, just underneath where the mail slot is. And then I scrunch up, first I'm dovetailing my ends. And then I scrunch it up at the top, put some hot glue, and I glue it underneath the bow to give it its tails. I pulled this ho 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 sign and the little Santa off of some other signs that I won't be using them on. And this one's going to go on the front, and Santa's going to go on the side. And our mailbox is done. I love it. I wanted to have a mailbox, but I couldn't find any that were, that I could make over. So I made my own. Took me a while to figure out how I could make it, and I figured the best would be cardboard. Something that everybody can do. I love it, and I hope you like it too. I picked these 4 mugs up at Dollar Tree. They were $1.50 each, and I created these on Canva. First, what I'm going to do is cut them out as close as I can. I printed them off on tissue paper, and we're going to do the tissue paper method. First, we put down a layer of Mod Podge onto the mug. Then we take the wording or the picture with the Mod Podge on the brush, and then gently Mod Podge over top of the lettering. I do this to both mugs and to both sides. Now we're just going to put on the snowflake, doing the exact same thing, and I again do it onto the other mugs. Now, taking these tumbling tower blocks, I picked them up at Dollarama. They were $3. I believe there's 48 in a box. And I'm going to be using 28 of them for each set. Using some wood glue and a paintbrush, I'm going to glue together 3 of the tumbling tower blocks, and we're going to make 4 sets of 3, and then I'm going to glue together 2, and I make 8 sets of 2. Starting with the 4 sets of 3, I'm going to paint 2 that are 2 different colors of red, and 2 that are 2 different colors of green. And then 4 of the sets of 2, I'm going to paint 2 red and 2 cream. And then the other set, I'm going to paint 2 green and 2 cream. So they all match together. I paint the front and 2 of the sides of all the blocks. Now, again, taking my wood glue, we're going to put wood glue on one of the sides. And then we're going to glue it to one of the green ones. I do the same thing to the other 2 sets of 3. And then I glue them all together, making a square. Like so. Then the sets of 2, I take the white and the red, and basically I'm going to show you how I set it up. And that's how I glue it together. And I do the same thing with the white and the green. Putting a little glue on the edge, pushing it together, wiping off any extra glue that squeezes out. The reason why I used a paintbrush with the glue is because it was easier to apply and you wouldn't apply so much and it wouldn't all squeeze out a lot. Now, taking some cork, I'm going to take the pieces that we just made, lay it on top of the cork, and then using my craft knife, we're going to cut around it. And there's my big head in the way. Sorry. Look at all the gray hairs up there. Just cutting it out until it pops off. Then, taking the wood glue again, we're going to apply wood glue all on the back of this thing, making sure to get all the edges, because when it pops off on the edges, then you know for sure it's going to pop off everywhere else. So I make sure to glue really well all along the edges. I'm almost out of this bottle of wood glue, so I'm trying to get out every single last drop. Then taking the cork that we just cut out, we're going to adhere that to the back of this piece. And we do the same thing for the other 2 squares as well. I have these stickers in my stash. I've had them for a long time. Didn't like the color, so what we're going to do is we're going to paint them. I paint 2 of the words with the creamy white color and some snowflakes, and then I go in between and paint some of the snowflakes green and red, and the connectors gold. Now, taking a little pokey tool, we're gonna get these stickers off. Poke any spots that are supposed to be out, poke them out, and we're going to adhere them to our squares. Warm Wishes goes on this one. And then I have Bundle Up on another one, and the snowflakes on the last one. Taking Mod Podge, we are going to Mod Podge the entire thing, except for the cork. Want to make sure we seal in all that paint and those stickers. And then when they are dry, I do take them outside and I give them a good coat of clear coating just to hold it all in. And this is what they look like. That's the other set that I made. These would make wonderful Christmas gifts. You can pair it up with hot chocolate and marshmallows and a chocolate spoon, or if they're a tea and a coffee drinker, you can get some specialty tea and some specialty honey and coffee and stuff. Stick it in a nice basket or a nice decorative box. Wonderful Christmas gifts. For our first craft, we're going to need 2 plates. I grabbed these from Dollar Tree. They were $1.50 each. And I picked up this glass as well at Dollar Tree. It was $1.25. We're going to clean them all up and get them all cleaned. And then we're going to take them outside and spray paint them with this brown Trim-Clad Rust spray paint. And then I'm going to give them a good coat of a clear sealer, just to make sure none of that spray paint comes off. And here's how they turned out. Covered pretty good, I think. And I couldn't get the words off of that glass, but I'm pretty sure the paint covered that pretty well too. Now, taking my E6000, I'm going to carefully go along the edge of the glass, the rim, in a few different spots. And then taking my hot glue gun, I'm going to go in the spots where there's no E6000. This way, the hot glue gives me my hold for now, and the E6000 will cure and give me my hold for forever. And then we're just going to place it in the center of the plate. And then again, using E6000 and my hot glue, we're going to place the second plate right on top. And this will give us a beautiful tray. Careful, these are glass. So if you do drop it, they will shatter. And that's what it should look like. On to this craft. I picked up these little crafter jars from Dollar Tree. And first we're going to take off all those stickers, which came off pretty good. I was surprised at how well they came off. Then I made these on Canva. Peppermint, marshmallows, and hot chocolate. First, what we're going to do is cut them all out as close to the image as we can. Then I grabbed some cardstock paper that is winterized or Christmas-like, and I'm going to cut off 3 pieces of this cardstock. the same width as our little signs that we made on Canva. If you don't have Canva, you could use whatever program that you have. After I cut them out, I first tried with a glue stick. I just added some glue to the bottom, lined it up with the jar. There's a little seam in the jar, so I lined it up there. Wrapped it around, see how far I needed, cut off the extra. Then using the glue stick again, I added more glue, especially on the edges, and I wrapped it around, making sure that it was sticking. Then when I put it down, I realized the glue stick isn't working, so I switched to the hot glue. So I did the exact same thing, but with the hot glue, and I only hot glued the ends. I did that to all 3 jars. Now taking one of our signs that we made, I'm going to use the glue stick again, and we're going to place it right on top of the cardstock that is on the jar. This one stuck pretty good with the glue stick. Taking this pretty ribbon, it's got snowflakes and trees and stuff on it. We're going to wrap it around just underneath where the lid screws on. Cut off where we'd like to cut it off. And then I'm just going to hot glue it into place. A little dab of hot glue under one and a little dab under the other one, and it sticks into place. Then taking some more of that ribbon, I'm going to make a little tiny bow. So I'm just going to cut off enough. Then I'm going to hot glue the 2 ends together. Excuse me. Scrunch it in the middle, and then using a piece of jute rope, I'm going to tie it in the middle. And I do the exact same thing for all the other 2 jars as well. Cut off the little extra pieces, and then glue it right on top of the ribbon, just like so. Third craft. I picked up this little snow globe from Dollar Tree. I don't know if I can call this a craft. I thought it would be kind of fun to do though. So what I do is I take it apart. As per the instructions, you sand the bottom of this little piece, and then you sand the bottom of whatever ornament or anything that you're going to be gluing onto it. So I sanded the bottoms of, I think it's 5 trees. Then taking my hot glue, I'm going to glue the trees down. In any which way you want. If you have a little Santa, you could put a Santa in there, snowman. This is a super fun craft to do. Now, taking some water and the other part of the snow globe, we're going to fill it up just enough so that when the trees go in, the water doesn't overflow. In the instructions, it also says that you can use baby oil or oil instead of water. I use water. Taking a little bit of fake snow, we're going to add the fake snow to the water. Just a little bit, not too much. Then using, again, my E6000, we're going to put the E6000 around the rim of this part of the snow globe. They say to use any kind of glue that could be a permanent glue, but also hold it there that the water wouldn't come out, if that makes sense. Then after the E6000's on, we're going to squish that back on. Make sure it's nice and tight and snug as a bug. I wiped off any extra. Put the cap back on. And we have a snow globe. It also says to kind of like squeeze the bottle and stuff to make sure the water doesn't come out. Then it can't be a craft without some ribbon. So I took some ribbon. I think this one has snowflakes and little swirls on it. Wrapped it around the base. And then made a cute little bow. Glued it onto the bottom. And then I glued a little bell right in the middle of the bow. Next craft. I picked up this sign and I have 2 tumbling tower blocks. I don't know if I got the sign at Dollarama or Dollar Tree, but I have that sign. And I painted it with that baking soda and paint mixture. I made this sign on Canva. I'm going to trim it down to the size that I want, carefully with my scissors. And then taking the bottom of a paintbrush, I wanted the corners rounded, so I just used that as a template, and I rounded the corners with that and then cut them out. Taking some Mod Podge, I'm going to lay a nice layer, thin layer-ish, of Mod Podge on the back, and we're going to stick it to this little wood piece that is already painted. Then Mod Podge on top. And I just do the sign itself. I don't Mod Podge the entire thing, I just do the sign. Then taking this burnt umber paint, I decided I wanted to dry brush some paint going from the edges in. Give it a little more color and dimension and depth of color in there. And then when I was doing that, I decided I was going to paint the edge as well. It looked a little bare, so I thought, let's paint the edge. Taking the 2 tumbling tower blocks that we painted already, I'm going to put some hot glue on the block, stand up my piece to how it would stand, and press it up against it, so that way it has its own stand. Then I took some already pre-painted beads that I had in my stash, put a little bit of tape on the end of jute rope, strung on, I think it's 10 beads. I tied a knot in both ends, and then I glued it down to the sign. Then I took some painter's tape, put some painter tape on top to hold it a little better, and then I painted the tape on the back so it could blend in with the rest. Didn't have this green sticking out. And there you go. Next craft. I have 2 tumbling tower blocks. What we're going to do first is we're going to hot glue one to the other into an L shape. Then we're going to paint one red fully on all sides and one green fully on all sides. Taking a black paint marker, I write out the words Noel and O-E-L. And then I hot glue a cute little tiny red bow at the end. Super quick and easy craft. That one's done. I picked up this, I think it's a cutting board, little mini cutting board. I got that from Dollar Tree, and we're going to paint it, I think it was burnt umber. Now I have this gingerbread cookies recipe. I'm holding it there for a bit because it's an actual recipe that I got out of my cookbook. I'm going to cut it down as close as I can, and then taking some water and some paintbrush, taking a paintbrush and some water, I'm going to go along the edge with the water and the paintbrush and then tear it off with my fingers. And I do this all the way around the edge just to give it this nice little wispy look. Kind of make it look aged and old. And I go all the way around. This is a tried and true recipe, works all the time. Then taking my lighter, I'm just going to singe around the edge a little bit. Be careful when doing this because paper does catch quick. So you got to be ready to blow it out. But I suggest if you're in the younger age not to do this part. You can use ink or paint to do this same step. Then taking some Mod Podge, I'm going to put a nice layer of Mod Podge down on the board. Excuse me, sorry. And then we're going to put a light layer of Mod Podge on the back of the recipe and lay it down on the board. And then I Mod Podge the entire board from top to bottom. Oh, I used a little piece of garbage of cardboard to help spread it out, flatten it down. Use what you have on hand. Nice layer of Mod Podge on top. Then I made this little bow. It's a snowman bow. It's got snowmans and snowflakes on it. I have this little gingerbread in my stash, and I'm going to glue him right on top of the handle. one's done. And this is the last craft. I'm going to paint the beads that are in front of me all green, those 2 rows, and the beads that are behind those all red, those 2 rows. I think I have a total of 30 beads in 2 different sizes, mind you, but then I picked up these color your own ornaments. It's a Snowflake. I got those at Dollar Tree. And okay, so I've been having troubles with white markers, so I picked up this new one from Walmart. It's an oil base, and I thought it'd be great. Yeah. See, you can't even see it. So back to the paint I go. I don't know what's with the white paint markers. For me, they just don't work. So I painted the snowflake on the front and the back. Now to string our beads. Taking some nylon rope, I'm going to do red, green, but then it's also big bead too small, big bead too small, so on and so forth, like that. Tie the snowflake to one end. And then we're going to make a tassel. And my camera ran out of battery, so I'm going to have to talk you through the rest of it. But what I did is I wrapped this yarn around a couple thousand times, and then you see all the ribbon that's to the left of my hand. I would take some red, I got some bling bling ribbon there, some green, some other colors of green, and do that. And then I tie off the top, trim the bottoms, and I got a little tassel you see there on the right. And this is everything all set up on the tier tray. That little snowman sled I got from Dollar Tree. Same with the Santa sleigh. And the lighted Christmas tree. They came from Dollar Tree as well. Found this frame picture in my stash. Probably got it from a garage sale. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this little black rubber thing. It looks like it's for when you're doing screening. It goes in around the screen. And I'm going to take everything apart. And it revealed this cool looking frame. I thought this was awesome. Then I'm going to take some burnt umber brown paint and I'm going to rub it on with a paper towel. Kind of like staining it. And I'm going to do the front, the back, all over with this brown color. I even get a little paintbrush and get into all the little grooves. I picked these ornaments up at Dollar Tree. I'm going to use 3 of them. And I'm going to, using my paint markers, color both the front and the back. I do a red, a green, and a blue. And then I also do the other side, a different color, gold, silver, and white. And I outline the little star bursts there with the color that's reversed on the thing. Anyways, taking some of my bling wrap, I'm going to cut off a strip and we're going to use these to hang them to the frame. First, just sticking it through the little hole there on top, and then I'm going to hot glue it to itself. Remember to use something to protect your fingers because it hurts. I think I burned myself several times, even though I had a finger protector. And then, measuring out how far I want, I'm going to glue it to the underneath the top side of the frame there, just with some hot glue. Making sure everything works and it's hanging where I want it. And then I trim off the rest, and I do the exact same thing to the other 2, but in different lengths. Excuse me. Now that that's all done, I cut apart some greenery that I picked up on Amazon, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate the corner. I put 4 of the greenery, 2 on the side and 2 on the top, and just using hot glue to glue them on. And I was going to use ornament balls, but I thought they were a little too big, so I found these little tiny styrofoam balls, and I'm going to glue 3 on top of that. And then I do the same thing in the bottom corner here, just as you're seeing me there. Gluing on the greenery, and then I glue on the 3 little gold balls. Did I say silver earlier? They're gold, not silver if I said silver. Sorry. I tend to do that, mix that up. Taking some white paint, I just go around on the greenery and around the frame and make it look like snow. And this is how it turned out. If you're still here at the end, still watching, I so thank you very much for watching until the end. I hope everyone enjoyed this video and the blast from the past of all the Christmas crafts I made last year. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button, like this video, and don't forget that bell. If you're a returning subscriber, hey, welcome back. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. We'll see you again next time. Bye.